Welcome back to Gentle Growth with Ivy. As always, this is Ivy, and today we have a special guest, Samantha, with us. Samantha, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hmm.
I'm so excited. My name is Samantha. I'm a womb and wellness coach, and I love helping women remove trapped trauma and really make the healthiest versions of themselves so that they can create the best fertility and have the babies that they want.
Nice. That's really important in today's day and age. I know it seems like infertility awareness is becoming more of a thing, and kind of like the stigma and like proper conversations around it and stuff. It's like really becoming a thing, and it definitely goes hand in hand with mental health as well. So I think you're going to be great here. Can you tell us a little bit about the business that you own?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Wellness and Womb, and I work with my clients through a few things. I do positive mindset coaching. We work on stress management techniques, nutritional advice. It's taking an integrative approach to helping my clients find balance because I believe that balance is really fundamental with emotional, physical,
Mhm.
mental, and spiritual well being. And then on the womb coach side of things, I help with, trapped trauma and emotions, and particularly the womb, helping women understand their cycles and understand signals and symptoms because I really feel like we're not taught to understand what signals and symptoms are in our body. And a lot of the time, the first case, when we're 12 or 13, might just be, well, just go on birth control. And
Mhm.
then we have, 10 to 15 years, more than that in some cases, where we've been disconnected from our body, and our intuition is our superpower.
Mhm.
So when I work with clients, I help them get back to understanding themselves and understanding what different things mean for them. And by doing all that, it helps increase their fertility. And I think that we all know that it's important to take care of ourselves. And and after I was pregnant with my first son, I didn't take care of myself uh, the way that I guess, I mean, looking back on it is always hindsight, right?
Mhm.
But I was able to completely change the pregnancies that I had from my second to my first because I
Mhm.
worked on all of these things, and I understand the importance of it from having experienced it. So, yeah, I really help empower women, and that's exciting.
That is exciting, and you definitely take a really holistic approach to it, which I feel like in our modern medicine times, holistic approaches aren't as common as they should be. And I
Yes.
know, like you said, with the symptoms, they just kind of like treat them with like the birth control and stuff, and it's just kind of like a band-aid, and it doesn't really help. And so when you have someone like yourself who can really take a holistic approach to it and look at every dynamic that's involved and truly heal, it it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is what's really important to think about is that there can be like this really beautiful like aha moment, and
Mhm.
everybody's aha moment is so different. And
True.
for me, it was really thinking that just because we have advancements doesn't mean that they're actually what's best for us.
Mhm.
Like me personally, I was put on birth control when I was 12, and I didn't come off of it until I was 27.
Mhm.
So, the birth control pill for me, it led to a lot of, I wouldn't say issues because I learned from them all, but it was a really steep learning curve,
Mhm.
and how to get back in tune with my body. And I just think that there's like this different narrative that we can look at things where just because there's advancements in technology, it doesn't mean that it's a good thing. We can have like a really beautiful blend of where we live now. Like, I'm not saying everybody has to go and live under a rock or anything like that, but we can still have live the way that we want while also really incorporating where we came from, and what our bodies know, because that's how we have evolved over time.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of the people that I've brought onto my podcast, they kind of bring back like ancient techniques. And there's a reason why these techniques worked way back then and they still work now. So
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
it's really good and natural. I know when we spoke briefly before this, you mentioned herbs and that you're a big fan of using herbs. And so I'm excited to talk about that because I'm trying a new way of like switching things out with herbal medication rather than the prescription, just because I've learned, the side effects and whatnot and listening to my body more. So
Hmm.
I'm excited to get into that. You want to go ahead? Well, you didn't tell us about your passion. Can you go ahead and tell us about your passion? What brought
Yeah,
you into this line of work?
absolutely. So, in 2018, I slipped and I hurt my knee. And
Hmm.
the injury that I had when I went and saw the specialist, he said I would never run again. I wouldn't go to the gym. I would likely not return to work. It would just be constant pain.
Wow.
And he had 5 other women who had the same injury, and none of them had been able to recover from it. So that was an incredibly devastating
Hmm.
thing to be told. And I didn't want to accept that. So, since working out was not something I was capable of doing because I was in a lot of pain, like walking was really, really painful,
Hmm.
I decided to turn to foods. And within 3 days of eliminating gluten, I could walk again.
Wow.
And within a few months, I was able to return to work. And when I went back and saw the specialist, he said that they have a lot of research that they need to do around food. Um, because there's obviously a connection. So
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to see that there was a connection there, and there is research that does support that, gluten, and where it's, especially where it's not organic, where it's sprayed with Roundup and glyphosate, is really inflammatory, and it has a lot of different reactions in the body. But then in 2020, when I became pregnant with my son, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, and that was really, really, really stressful,
Hmm.
because I didn't believe that it was accurate, and I was also dealing with like a lot of emotional
Oh
trapped
yeah.
trauma in my body.
Oh yeah.
So it was just like a really compounding effect, and it led me to look even deeper into the nutrition side of things, while also trying to find, how to support my organs, because the liver is in Chinese medicine where anger can be trapped. And
Hmm.
I found a lot of signs coming up that my liver was really having a hard time. So I focused really, really heavily on healing my body before I became pregnant again. And the second pregnancy that I had was completely different.
Good.
And yeah, so that was how I started, and started implementing everything. And now I want to help others, because I don't want women to struggle.
Yeah. And I have seen how food can really affect different areas in your body. I personally struggle with chronic pain.
Hmm.
And I've had pain for years since I can remember. I had a x-ray done a while ago and it showed that I have degenerative disc disease. And so I was just always assumed that my back pain was permanent. This is something that I was going to suffer with for the rest of my life, and it's just going to get worse. And, there's really no other answers besides pain meds. And then I also have some pretty bad knee pain as well. I used to be well over 300 pounds, and then I lost a lot of weight. Um, and so there's just so many different aches and pains in my body. And the more that I learn about how food can affect our body, I realized just how much sugar was in my diet. Even the sugar
Hmm.
that I used in my coffee creamer, I would have never thought there was that much sugar in it.
Yes.
Um, and then even like eating oatmeal for breakfast, I was having like the brown cinnamon sugar
Yeah.
oatmeal. I said that backwards. It's okay.
Mm.
But I would even have that, and then, lunchtime came around, I'd have something with bread, and then I wonder why, shortly after lunchtime, I'm in so much pain to where I can barely move, and I was in my early 20s. It made no sense.
Mhm.
And so I learned things and I learned how much sugar can affect your body and how much like hidden sugar and like artificial sugar is everywhere. And so I just started cutting that out. I replaced my coffee creamer, I replaced my breakfast, I eat a better lunch, and now it's very rare that I have pain in my back and pain in my knees, and it's typically when I indulge in my Starbucks, honestly.
Mhm.
If I have that noon o'clock Starbucks, I typically have knee and back pain by 5 o'clock. So there really, really is a connection there. I can totally relate there. Um,
Absolutely.
so, what are some of the things that you specifically help your clients with?
So, well, if we're going to talk about food for a little bit, I think iron regulation is really, really
Mhm,
important because most people think that iron regulation, that our blood shows that we're low in iron and that you don't want to have low iron before you're pregnant. But I take a little bit of a different perspective on it, and that low iron in the blood means that iron isn't functioning the way that it's meant to.
hmm,
So, um, that if we actually have vitamin A and copper, then we can return the functioning of the iron and it not being stuck. Because if when we're taking iron, we're taking blood, sorry, and we're testing iron, what we're really testing is the iron that's in the blood.
mhm.
And iron can be 10 times higher inside the organs.
Wow.
So it just means that iron is actually it's dysregulated. It's getting stuck, and we don't want that. We want copper, which is copper is important. A lot of people think that we're copper toxic, but what happens when we don't have copper is iron can't move.
Hmm.
So we need that balance, and vitamin A is really important, especially in the form of retinol. So if we're talking about like eggs or cod liver oil, things like that, because it's a different form of vitamin A that's in vegetables, and you need a lot higher amounts of it in order for it to be converted in the body, and it's more stress on the body because it's not in that really bioavailable form.
Hmm.
Um, so if we have copper and vitamin A, what those two do is those vitamin A locks they locks copper in and to a protein so that iron jumps on board with copper and it can move through the body, and that's really 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 important. So when we do have iron functioning properly, it really can change it really can change a life. So if we're
Oh,
taking like iron supplements, for example, what we're just doing is we're just really kind of adding a little bit of fuel to the fire where iron's already
yeah.
stuck and it's not moving. So it's not changing anything. It's depleting the copper more, and it's just kind of snowballing. So
Wow.
getting that in balance is really really key.
Yeah, I mean, I've even took like anatomy and physiology classes because I was studying to be a nurse for a while and I was an STNA, and I've never learned that. That's really interesting. I've always heard that whenever your iron's low, you get iron supplements or a transfusion.
Yes.
It's so interesting how there's just so many common band-aids put in place. Like, it's
Yes.
so common to just put a band-aid on somebody and, "Oh, well, come back when you need a new band-aid," you know?
Mhm.
Um, it's so important to truly just get down in there and heal the wound, heal what is truly going on. Um, so yeah, that's really interesting.
And I think, like, intuitively, it makes sense. If you're low in something, you just take more of it, and
Mhm.
that'll fix it. But I mean, that concept is only when we actually understand how iron moves, it becomes really clear that that's not the answer. And there's women that have been on iron supplements for years and years and years, or there's a reason why every single woman is told that they're low in iron at
Mhm.
the end of their pregnancy. And it's because naturally we actually do go low in iron at the end of pregnancy. There's like a happy kind of sweet spot there where it is really good to have a lower iron level. But
Hmm.
women aren't told that. We're told that, you don't want to have low iron, you don't want to have a hemorrhage. But I mean, if we even think back to, say, when scurvy came about, sailors used to. The whole reason that we know vitamin C is associated with scurvy is because sailors used to eat limes, and
Oh.
limes would cure their scurvy. And one of the one of the signs of scurvy was bleeding, that they would have bleeding gums. Well, a lot of women have bleeding gums at the end of pregnancy, and a
Yeah.
lot of that has to do with a vitamin C, like you needing more vitamin C, and vitamin C can help if we are worried about a hemorrhage. Vitamin C can be really, really helpful there.
Wow, that is so interesting.
I know it's a
Wow.
little bit mind blowing, isn't it?
It is, like, I'm just kinda, like, stunned. Usually, I have something to say, but I'm just like, "Wow,
Yeah, it's kind of
that's awesome."
crazy. I remember when I first heard it all, I was like, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I couldn't shake how much sense it made.
Mhm.
And for me, one of like the aha moments was, so after my first son, I had no issue breastfeeding at all. I had so much milk. I could have fed the whole street. There
I
was
relate.
just so much.
Yeah.
But with my second, I didn't know about this, and I was told that I had low iron, and I was really concerned about that. So I took iron supplements. And what happened was, after my second son was born, I was able to produce milk initially, but then
Mhm.
my milk completely went away, where I was not producing any milk at all. And I
Wow.
couldn't figure out why I wasn't making any milk. So I went and had some blood work done, and they were like, "Well, your cholesterol is super, super high," which is another can be another effect of taking iron. And it wasn't until I started like looking into this a little bit more, I was like, well, no wonder my body isn't, it's not making any milk. So that can be, a lot of women will say that they aren't able to make milk, and it can be from if they have too much iron in their body, because there's no
Yeah,
hormonal
that makes
way
sense.
to remove iron. We remove iron through blood loss, and
Mhm.
and iron moves through copper and vitamin A. So, it's not something that's in their head. They physically can't do it, and I physically was not producing any milk. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a little bit. As soon as I started hearing it all, I was like, it makes sense. I get it
Yeah.
now. So,
That does make sense, and I personally breastfed my daughter as well, for 2 years, and I was also an oversupplier. I ended up donating almost 4,000 ounces, within that
wow.
first year. Yeah, and so I was very open about my breastfeeding and the struggles and the journey and the donations. I was just very open because I know we need more openness.
Hmm.
Um, and so a lot of people would come to me and ask for advice and stuff, and I'm not a professional in that area whatsoever, and I just naturally produced that.
Hmm.
But there really is women out there who truly, I mean, they try it all. They eat all the expensive snacks, they take all the expensive supplements, and they're pumping and feeding every hour, 2 hours, and they really just can't produce. And that makes me wonder how many of them were also taking iron supplements and whatnot.
Yes. And
Yeah.
iron can be tricky too, because I mean, we have iron supplements, and then we also have I'm not a fan of prenatals, because
Really?
I don't like how you can't choose the ingredients in them. You're
True.
given this, and it's hard to like every single ingredient on that list. So I like blending different ingredients together. My go-tos are always cod liver oil, because that's the vitamin A that we need. A whole food form of vitamin C. So there are like lots of different supplements that you can take,
Mhm.
that don't have it, but you really don't want to have ascorbic acid, because ascorbic acid is commonly used in so many things. You'll find it in
It's
like
everywhere.
applesauce, and yeah, it hides in foods.
Yeah.
And that will be what's typically on the ingredient list instead, and that will affect the body's ability to manage iron. So I don't like ascorbic acid. So a whole food form of vitamin C. Magnesium. Magnesium is super, super important, especially
Mhm.
if you're looking at pregnancy. And beef liver. Beef liver is like what I think of as like a multivitamin, because that's going to have the copper in it, and that's going to have a bunch of other nutrients. So instead of prenatals, I have yet to find one that I like. I would be
Yeah.
shocked if I did. I would be happy, but I haven't found one
So
just
you
yet.
just make your own recipe. I love that. And
Yeah.
that's all, good ingredients too. Because I mean,
Mhm.
I personally, I still take a prenatal just because I had a surgery a long time ago. And so I just take extra vitamins. I should look into that now.
Yeah. Yeah, see what's in it. Because
Yeah, because I
you
have no
think
idea
that
what's
you're
in there.
doing something good, right? You're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is got a bunch of different, nutrients in it, it's good
Mhm.
for me," but, some of them are really not helping, so
Yeah, and I just get mine as a prescription from the doctor, so I'm sure
yeah.
it's, like, generic, so anyway, I need to look into that, I will make a mental note. Honesty at its best. Wow. Um, what else do you help with your clients?
So feminine balance is really, really key. So I think that a lot of women too, when we're struggling with infertility, a lot of the focus can be on doing. You know, I'm
Mhm,
not doing enough, or I have to do more, and that is masculine energy. But when we
mhm,
focus on being, that's feminine energy. So, like journaling and meditating or doing yoga, baths, all of those things help us kind of ground ourselves. So, I like to think that if we get too much of the doing energy, it would kind of be like being in a room with a TV, the blender's on, you probably have a fan going, it feels chaotic and, like, stressful because there's so much going on.
yeah,
But when we work on that balance and coming back to, being more, then, we're tuning all of that out, and then we can actually hear what our bodies are telling us. Because if we're constantly in that state where we're really overstimulated and going to the next thing, then it can be really difficult to actually hear what our intuition is telling us that
mhm,
what we're wanting. So, that is a huge, huge focus of mine to helping women come back to that. And I mean, journaling sounds silly. When I first heard it, I was like, okay, well, I used to do that when I was like 12.
yeah,
So, I mean, how beneficial really is that? But it's actually huge because
mhm,
it allows you to almost take like a bird's eye view of your thoughts.
yes,
I really like it because when you do have those difficult moments, you can come back and look at it and go, wow, a year ago, I had all of the skills that I am, hoping that I
mhm.
have to help get me out of this. And I already had it then. So you really realize that you already have everything inside of you. And I think it can be really, really empowering.
Oh, yes, journaling is definitely something that I highly recommend as well, especially, like, gratitude and reflection and affirmations. Um, it's helped me a lot, it's helped a lot of people that I know, and it re a lot of things that I personally recommend are so
Yes.
simple that it seems silly. I say it all the time, but it makes the biggest difference, and
Hmm.
I like how you said that constantly trying to do is kinda like the masculine energy, and then just being is more of a feminine energy,
Hmm.
and that is something that has really helped me with, like, my mental health. Um, I was always a doer, always do, do, do.
Yes.
Baby shark, my goodness. Anyway, excuse my ADHD. But, I was constantly doing stuff, like, if I was relaxing, I almost felt guilty, and then
Hmm.
I wondered why I was riddled with anxiety that even medication couldn't help me. And then whenever I started slowing down and being in the moment and practicing mindfulness, meditating, journaling, and just being, it put my mind at ease and things were clearer. And I really like how you said that journaling gives you like a bird's eye view of your life, because another thing that I often recommend is whenever you're going through a difficult time, to try to look at the situation from like an outsider's point of view. Because whenever you step back and you take yourself out, it's easier to digest and problem solve and do all the things that you need to do to get through the situation. And then again, with looking back, there's so many things that we work on and we work on and we work on, and then once we achieve it, it's like we don't even realize and we just move on to the next thing. And
Hmm.
it's so important to slow down, realize that you're making improvements, you're taking steps, and you're getting better, and celebrate that, enjoy those achievements and realize that you are taking steps forward. And whenever you journal and you reflect on your journaling, that is such an easy way to see that, because you get to see what you're truly thinking and feeling and what you were going through. And then you look at it again and you're like, wow, I've gotten so much better. Something like that wouldn't stress me out today.
Mhm.
So, yeah, journaling's huge for
It
sure.
is. It is.
Yes. Tell me about the FEM.
Yeah, so fertility awareness method. When I like to think of it as like such a fundamental thing that we should all know, but I mean, it took me courses to learn how to do this. And it's all about really understanding signals of your body and tracking your cycle so that you can either, if you want to prevent a pregnancy, you know how, and if you want to become pregnant, so that you know when the best time is to conceive. And so for my clients, it's not just about tracking. I like them to know, we want 26 to say 35 days is long we want our cycles to be. And if you're having too short of cycles, what that means, or too long of cycles, what that means. I like using herbs.
Mhm.
So, like, for example, if you're having a really short cycle, then Vitex can be really helpful to helping extend the length of the cycle. And there's a lot of different ways to go about tracking it. There's lots of different technology out there. I like I like a pen and a paper.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's lots of different ways to go about doing it. And I mean, it wasn't until again I started taking courses that I was like, okay, so cervical mucus, I was never taught about that in school. That can be a really great way to helping know what's going on in your body.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a whole bunch of tools that we have that, again, when we go on birth control right away, it takes away
Yeah.
that intuition that comes with knowing all of those things. So I like to start at to me, that is the very basic thing to get
Mhm.
women more in tune with their bodies, is to understand what these different signals are and how they can either, again, prevent a pregnancy or conceive.
Wow. Whenever you first reached out, I know I was saying like I am not looking to get pregnant. I immediately just kind of like put that off, but I never even considered like the prevention part.
Mhm.
And I was like, so whenever you just said that, that rung a bell, and I'm like, wait, there's natural ways to prevent pregnancy besides like just abstinence? Like what?
Yes, yes,
Because I
there's
know I'm currently on an IUD, and so it completely stops my periods. I haven't had a
yes.
period in years besides occasional spotting, which I personally think that's amazing, but I'm learning that I'm kind of like out of touch with my body, and then like
Mhm.
stopping the periods themselves, like that's not entirely healthy either. Um, and so I'm considering getting it removed and looking for natural ways um, to just kind of live, I guess. But it's really interesting that there's actually natural ways to prevent pregnancy too.
Yes, and one thing to keep in mind too, so, like, it's not just the IUD, but, like, birth control will stop periods too.
Oh,
And, one of the reasons why women live longer than men is because we have a monthly blood loss. So that
huh.
monthly blood loss, what that's doing is that's removing the iron, the excess iron from the body. So, when we don't have that, it can lead to, iron becoming more stagnant. So that's another really, like, huge critical function of helping the hormonal balance is our monthly blood loss.
Wow. And I have none. So another note that I need to make, I'm learning a lot here. I know this is for the listeners, but I'm personally like intrigued. Like, holy cow, I didn't know any of this. Wow.
I know, and, like, I think back to myself, the birth control that I took was a 3-month one, where it was
Mhm.
supposed to be every 3 months, and then you would have, a cycle, but I never had a period at all. So,
Wow.
that is an incredible chunk of time to
Mhm.
just completely not have one, which is, I mean, at the time, I remembered, like, the doctor telling me and the doctors that I would see be like, "It's great. This is a great advancement for technology," but then when you start thinking about it, it's kinda like, my heart beats without me thinking about it, so maybe I should be having this monthly blood loss without me trying to
Mhm.
control it too. So that was
Yeah.
where I started thinking about it, and I was like, "Maybe I should come off of this because I just don't know." But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that everyone, if you understand the risks and the benefits, then as long as you're making an informed decision, then that
Mhm.
is what's important. Because we all have our own preferences, like, no one's gonna wanna do everything that I'm gonna wanna do,
Mhm.
but as long as it's an informed yes or an informed no, that's what matters to me.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lot of lacking information out there because I know I started the depot shot whenever I was 13.
Mhm.
I think I was 13, maybe almost 14. Um, and I feel like that like ruined my body. I gained so much weight in that time. I remember like mood swings and I didn't have a period. And it was just rough. And so I got off that and I did birth control pills and then after that, that's whenever I got the IUD and I was like, "Okay, this is the best thing ever. I don't have to remember to do anything. It's in there for like 8 years. No periods, like, wow." So and then now I'm learning that it's actually good for your body to have a period, which, I mean, it makes sense. Everything that our body does naturally is good for us,
Yes.
and we probably shouldn't try to stop that.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. Do you wanna share some of the herbs that you like to use in your practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love raspberry leaf. Raspberry leaf is most women know about it because they think that it will. Some believe that it will bring on contractions, but it doesn't do that. It helps strengthen the uterus.
Hmm.
So, at the second half of the cycle in the luteal phase, what we really want is we can have like raspberry leaf tea, something that's helping our body prepare for that. I think that if we break down the different phases, that it can be really supportive because it's like a building block. We're working on this phase and then we go into the next one. It's like, okay, well, this phase, we're not actually seeing these PMS symptoms from it because we did such a good job preparing for when we got here. But I'm going to keep
Mhm.
working because it's a cycle and I'm going to go to the next one soon. So I do see a lot of help with raspberry leaf tea. You can just get like the herb of it and steep it in some tea. I like to take it and then let it steep for at least 4 hours because then you're getting a
Hmm.
lot of the nutrients out of it. Um, but like something to keep in mind that herbs are really beautiful because they support our body by supporting our cells.
Mhm.
So they have phytochemicals in them, which are used that they make to help them stay alive. And when we consume herbs, we are then consuming that. So it's like these super nutrients for us, and they can be really really helpful. And there's so many different ones out there. Another one that I really like and is really supportive for like mental health and mental clarity is rhodiola, and
Hmm.
I think that that one is really really amazing and can help a lot of people. So
I wanna look
um,
into it.
yeah, absolutely, because that can be one that is a really great, kind of like almost like a multivitamin that has a lot of mental benefits to it as well.
Hmm. Mhm.
So that one is amazing, and I like to use ones that help with mental health because I come from a background of PTSD and depression and
Mhm.
anxiety, and so I really like. I turn to herbs to help support me through that, and so lavender can be really amazing too.
Mhm.
Um, I like to take it and put it in a diffuser at night, and because it can help with sleep and calming, and that one is just like a really great herb too. So just a great way to help get into that feminine energy and wind down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, those are, I mean, the only one I've heard of from there, like, I've heard of raspberries, obviously, but I didn't know there was a raspberry tea leaf, and I didn't know that it was good for your uterus and whatnot, um, and I definitely didn't hear the second one. I can't even remember the name, but I'm gonna re-listen. Uh,
Rhodiola.
ro Say it one more
It,
time.
so it's rhodiola.
Rhodiola.
I'm probably saying it wrong too. I
No,
say everything wrong, but that's okay.
it's fine.
It's Rhodiola.
Okay, I have that noted because that's really interesting. And then I feel like everybody knows about lavender and its calming effects. I personally use it everywhere that I can in my house because I also suffer with like PTSD, anxiety, depression, and ADHD as well. So I need all the calming help that I can get. Like my cleaners have lavender, my laundry, my bath stuff, everything. I love
Well, and
lavender.
a lot of people don't know it, but you can actually get lavender pills to take. So,
What?
yeah, so they can be really helpful too. You can take them like before bed. The only thing with them is that if you're not used to them, they can give you like lavender burps. So some people don't like the lavender burps, but I do find that it was one of like the best things to really help me kind of calm my mind.
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. I had no idea that it came in like a pill form.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've only seen like teas and then oils and like lotions and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
no, the
interesting.
pills are really, really, really great.
Awesome. I know I wouldn't mind lavender burps. Shoot. Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Um, I think that I started all of this because I want women to be empowered. Like
Hmm.
I want women to be in tune with their bodies, and I want them to I just don't want women to feel like they're suffering. And I feel
Hmm.
like, there's a reason that 1 in 6 people will suffer with infertility.
Yeah,
And I just don't want that. So I thank you so much for having me on here, and
absolutely.
it's helping me accomplish my dream of helping as many women as I can, because
Hmm.
I think that we are so so strong and
Hmm.
so powerful, and I just want to see as many happy women like become their best versions of themselves
Hmm.
before they even conceive. So,
Yes, and I feel like women's empowerment is becoming more now.
mhm.
I think in the past, before we were even documented, we were super powerful and then we were just kind of pushed down a lot
Yes.
through a lot of different things. Um a lot of different things really just pushed us down, made us feel powerless and unequal and undeserving of our own time and our own compassion and our own self-love. And now it's on the rise that we need it. And
Yes.
it's something that I've noticed and that I tell a lot of people about is how it creates a ripple effect. A lot
Mhm.
of women, including myself in the past, would wear ourselves down trying to give and give and give to everyone around us. And we need to learn how to give from abundance, not from an empty cup.
Yes.
And so we need to fulfill ourselves and be so fulfilled that that just overflows into the people around us.
Mhm.
We don't have to tear ourselves down in order to build the people around us up. We can build them up
Absolutely.
with ourselves, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
I
And
agree.
yeah, no, 100%. And
Hmm.
that's like one of the biggest reasons that I have a 14-week program, and I created that because I want to work hand in hand with women and show them how to go through all of these things, because I want to help change lives, and I want women to feel that way. So, yeah, no, that's amazing, and I love thinking of pictures. So, thinking that you have a full cup and it
Hmm.
spilled over to others, I think is a really beautiful image.
Thank you. That's definitely one of my favorite analogies to use in that. Our self love really pours over into the love that we give to others. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, you want to share with us the best way to contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram is the best way. I'm wellness womb underscore at the end.
Hmm.
And if they click on you can send me a message, absolutely. Or if you're looking to find out a little bit more about the 14-week program, then I have a link there for booking a free 15-minute call where we'll talk all about it. I want to get to know you and find out, what what you're trying to work through, and I want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. So I
Mhm.
don't let people just sign up. I want to meet them first, and so that women can make an informed decision whether they think that I actually am the best fit for them.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's really important, and that's where they
I
can find
agree.
me.
Oh, I agree. And I will make sure to have your link tree and your Instagram in the description of this podcast so that people can easily find you and easily get that 15-minute phone call with you. Is there,
Beautiful.
yes, is there anything else you would like to add before we hop off here?
No, thank you so
No
much. That's
problem.
all
Thank
that I
you.
have. I'm still like I'm so excited, and
Oh,
this has made my day. So thank you so
thank
much.
you. I'm so happy you came on. I definitely think um, that what we do can really go hand in hand because I know that during my pregnancy and during postpartum, that's whenever I really realized I needed to focus on my mental health
Mhm.
and make a change. So I,
Yeah,
I love what you do and I love what you teach.
there's nothing like, fluctuating hormones and a crying baby to really make you
Oh, it
reflect
was so rough.
inwards.
My kiddo had 13 weeks of colic, and it was so rough. And then shortly after I gave birth, I was diagnosed with PTSD and ADHD, and I was like doomed feeling.
Yes.
And so I was like, I got to get this under control, and I did. And now I'm helping
Mhm.
others do the same. So
That's
I love how
amazing.
you also had, experiences, and now you're like, I want to take from that experience and teach others.
Yes. Well, thank
Yes, I
you.
love it. Yes, thank you for being here. I hope you have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.